no matter what happens tonight, at least you're not a U of A football fan. And if you are, my deepest condolences. Ahoy, hoy.
Another episode of the PHNX Suns Show Pre-Game Edition. Tonight we've got the Phoenix Suns and the Portland Trailblazers facing off against one another. And as always, we are brought to you by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. I'm Lindsay. That's Steven. That's Espo. You guys good?
I got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
What is it?
Can you drop that, Kevin?
Why tie someone up when you can lock them down? Introducing the Nike Air Force Dunn.
Oh, yeah?
There's a new shoe in town.
What?
Our boy Ryan Dunn signed a deal with Nike, and they have no laces. It's just locks. So.
I mean, that's kind of funny. If that really was the shoe, that'd be hilarious.
Why tie someone up when you can lock them down? I mean, that's the Ryan Dunn story right there. So congratulations to Ryan Dunn.
Yeah.
They got that Nike commercial out quick, too. I was impressed.
That's fast. Yeah. Look at Nike. It's like they're a conglomerate or something like that.
Please don't sue us, Nike.
You can have it for free instead. You can have that one for free instead. No, but honestly, shout out to Ryan Dunn for that. That's a big step in the NBA kind of career trajectory and path that these young guys go, getting their shoe situation on lock. And good to have him as part of the Nike crew. I mean, Book's there, so
Kevin
he always loves it. Yeah,
is
KD.
Let's be clear. Doesn't mean he's getting a signature shoe.
No.
Just means he wears Nikes.
But you got to start somewhere if your goal is to ever maybe get a signature shoe.
He'll probably be wearing Book ones.
That's what I was going to say. He's either wearing Books or he's wearing KD.
Probably.
One of those two.
We'll see.
They said, hook this man up. And I said, yes, sir.
All right, guys, let's dive into this one. We've got the Blazers in town to face off against the Suns. Obviously, the big talking point for tonight's game will be Yusuf Nurkic versus DeAndre Ayton, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to start with the injury report because we do have some good news. The Suns injury report is officially clean, you guys. Bradley Beal, who was questionable coming into tonight's game, is available. Josh Okogie is also not on the injury report anymore. On the Blazers side of things, Shaedon Sharpe, Matisse Thybulle, and Robert Williams III are all out. Bradley Beal will start tonight.
Steven, Robert Williams III is known as Time Lord. If he can actually control time, why doesn't he go back to when he's not injured? Because the dude's been out for a while.
But
I just, I want this guy to play so he can get traded somewhere so he can actually help somebody.
Yeah, he was actually at the top of my list of trade candidates that I felt like they could feasibly facilitate to. Obviously, he hasn't been healthy enough.
Yeah.
Want to see it, but that's definitely the type of player, the archetype. He matches the timeline age-wise as well. We'll see about it.
Low risk or high risk, high reward kind of guy too.
Bingo.
So.
And he's got championship winning experience too.
Yeah. Sorry, I know you wanted to get to Bradley Beal, but I just saw
that's
that.
Fine.
Look, Bradley Beal's back. Hey, guess what? He's going to start for all of you that didn't want him to. And, hopefully he comes in and he's effective. But the thing with Brad for me is be smart. He hits the floor so often, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the hard-nosed mentality and wanting to go out there and play like that. But you got to pick your spots because you cannot afford to be injured for any significant amount of time with these little things. And the best way to do that is not get yourself nicked up. So
yeah, I think that's one of the best skills that a lot of players hone in on over the course of their careers. You hear about players like Iverson and Dwayne Wade, the prototypical slashers, hit the floor a lot early in their career, missed a handful seasons are worth of time over their respective careers. Talk about Derrick Rose as well. Talk about learning how to pick your spots, especially for Bradley Beal, who's more than capable of pulling up from the mid range. So just having better discernment there, I think will help a lot.
Yeah, and it would help my stress and anxiety levels throughout the season a lot too. Probably quite a few of us, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because
just make some business decisions, right?
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
All right, well, here is what Bradley Beal had to say about the approach that they took with his right elbow sprain that kept him out of a few games.
Obviously, it's the mental part of it. You want to make sure that you don't have any setbacks if you do decide to go out there. And once docs were confirmed that we were good, it's just a little sprain, and it's obviously a pain tolerable thing. And just kind of let it calm down. We had an extra day in between games, so it was just best to just take that extra day and feel better for our upcoming schedule, which is a break day game. So we got a tough schedule coming up, so we figured give us a break and take our time with it.
So I haven't quite sprained my elbow before, but I've definitely put it in a position to be sprained, trying to navigate screens, which I believe was the same scenario that put Bradley Beal on the sideline. That's not fun, and especially if that's on your shooting arm in particular. So I'm curious to see what his volume in terms of shot attempts is. What's his mindset? Is he hunting out shots like he typically would, or is he a little bit more apprehensive? It's going to be a fun kind of barometer to gauge this game.
Yeah, you kind of do need that elbow. When
just
shooting.
a little bit.
Just a slight bit.
Maybe.
I think they're going to be cautious, too, in these situations, right? Where if there is something small, they may give him a game off just to try to mitigate anything becoming a long-term problem, because we saw with the back, they kind of were false started a few times and then they missed significant time. I think they're going to play it smart this season whenever something with Brad comes up. So
I mean, I hope so. I mean, one hopeful, knock on wood, touch metal, whatever your thing is, I'm not trying to jinx this here. One hope that you could have for tonight's game is that you don't have to, or you won't need to have your starters play high minutes in this one if you take care of business early, which has been a conversation that we've had. I know it's only been 5 games, but getting off to a better start tonight would do wonders for being able to reduce those minutes and the load that those guys have to carry in this one, because you could turn it over to the young guys and give them a little bit more run. But again, you have to take care of business early.
Exactly.
And speaking to your point, talking about him picking his spots better and the training staff kind of holding him back a little more, I think when you trade for players, the training staff is probably the least thought about dynamic of taking in a new player. You have to learn their body. You have to learn the tendencies, what the weak spots are, how often they get injured, if it's a consistent scenario. I think this second season having Bradley Beal will help to kind of showcase how much more they learned from last season.
I think it's a great point, because training has become very analytic driven too, and you need data about the guy, right? And that's not something another team's handing over to you when you trade for him. So you got to build that database to understand the guy and those kind of things. So I think you're 100% right on that.
The training side of the NBA is so fascinating. Like when you actually, because they don't often share any of the scoops or tea, rightfully so. But when you're lucky enough to get some of those scoops and they're like, man, this guy, would never want him on my team just because of the injury and like the inability to really keep their bodies healthy. Like when you get those scoops from some people behind the scenes, you're just like, dang, this goes, it's so much bigger and greater of a, I mean, we all know it's like part of the industry, but it's so much more than I think your normal thought process would allow it to be.
Yeah, it's hardly thought of.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Let's go ahead and dive into the DeAndre and Jusuf Nurkic conversation. We'll start with Nurk. Here's what Coach Bud had to say about tapping into Nurk's passing ability while also trying to cut down on the turnovers.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the great balance. You know, he and I have had some conversations, talk about it. You know, he's a great passer. You know, it's a real skill and gift of his. So he's just got to continue to work on it and, you know, make good reads, good decisions. You know, sometimes the best pass is the pass you don't make, you know, so I don't know, quarterbacks probably, you know, sometimes that's how they think, and he's just got to continue to grow in that area.
So one of the biggest challenges when you're especially a brand new head coach with so many skilled pieces is building a system to have those pieces all perform to their strength in unison with one another. You can't get the full optimization of Jusuf Nurkic while putting his hands behind his back in terms of telling him to not try to attempt to make plays or set the table. Because now you put him in a box, and that's going to have trickle-down effect on his game. So I think it's great to see that he's still giving him that leash to show that he can do it on his own before kind of taking things away from him in terms of how he can look to approach the game.
Well, the system, you got to put them in the right positions too,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
With the and kind of learning that. I think that's part of the thing that people are forgetting. And look, I know I'm being labeled as a Nurk apologist, and say what you will on that front, but the reality is, he only played. He didn't play preseason games, right? With that hand injury, he's learning a new system and anticipation on some of those passes and trying to figure out where a guy's going to be based on what the play calls for. Takes some time to adjust to. Now, we know he's prone to turnovers from time to time, but I think they get better as he gets more familiar with the offense and more comfortable with where his teammates are going to be on the floor and being able to anticipate that. So that's the hope, and I think you're right. You don't limit him yet. You see once he gets into the flow of the offense, are you still having those problems? And then you pull back on it, right?
It's a mental game too, right? Like, you're not only toying around with what to give as far as the leash and what to pull back on. It's also, how does that affect him mentally within this space? Like, I mean, we heard it preseason too when Nurk was talking about the way that his demeanor was when he was talking about Frank basically pulling away the 3-ball shot from him last year, and how he didn't seem to really love that because he wanted to try to implement that into his game. So, like, it's a balance, right? You're a new coach, so you're just learning tendencies and personalities of these guys, and you also don't want to rub them the wrong way and have them have a cloud hanging over their heads.
I like the approach of the team and Coach Bud haven't gone negative on him, right? They're like, look, you're good, big guy. But he also knows that if he's out there and he has a first quarter like against the Clippers the other night, that Mason's going to get minutes, that Oso's going to get minutes. And it's this give and take, right? And you saw him come back in the third and go out there and actually be helpful with it. So it's going to be this dance. And I've been saying it, a platoon at center is what this team's going to have to use, because we know for a fact, and we knew last year, there are situations where Nurk can't stay on the floor with certain types of centers. That's it. That's the reality. So you have to decide, or Plumlee and Oso, the guys in that, or do you need to go get another guy to be part of that rotation?
And that's one of my favorite parts with Mike Budenholzer early through this season. He's shown that he instills the big A in everybody, and that's accountability. So if you're getting freedom, you earned it based off of your reputation preceding you coming into this season. But within my system, if I'm speaking as Mike Budenholzer, you have to do A, B, and C. And if you're not doing either one of those three, then we got to start taking things away, or we have a viable replacement that can come in and either replicate that or do it to the needs of the team and to the needs of the game.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so as it happens, as we do as Suns fans, when somebody is having a rough stretch or we don't like them or whatever, we compare them to our past, right? So over the last week or so, there's been a lot of conversation on social media. It's happening in our chat right now too, about, do we like Nurk? Do we like DA better? Do we miss DA? Was this, that, and the other, right? Well, here's the deal. I'll give you a little peek behind the curtains here. Here's what Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups had to say about what they are trying to get DeAndre in to do this season. Oh, you don't have that one? Just kidding. Apparently we don't have that one. So we'll put it on Twitter for you guys, or maybe we'll get it a little bit later in the show. But essentially, DA's not having the best season to start either.
You wouldn't say, huh?
Who'd have thought? Right? And there are ups and downs with DeAndre in and Blazers fans. And so it's kind of like the same story, just a couple miles away from each other.
Really?
Yes, I know, right?
I know. Shocking.
Who would have thought? But it's just one of those things, I think, that you just kind of have to deal with. And as Suns fans, like, center position, right? Like, it's been a common theme.
It's been a theme for 56 years. They've never had a good center. Like, the fact that Shaq and the 1 year that he had here is in the discussion for potentially best center ever tells you everything you need to know about the Suns center position traditionally. Not great, Bob, all right?
Yes, not great. All right. Well, shall we move on? Or do you have it? Okay, we've got it now. Here you go, guys.
He's shooting it pretty decent. But more importantly, just his activity defensively. I'm trying to get him to pressure the ball more. He's such a gifted athlete, as you all know. But sometimes he could leave some meat on the bone out there, and I'm trying to get him to stop doing that or lessen that. And he's doing a really good job of it, We've been trying to pressure a lot more this year, and it's been his pressure a lot of times and nights that has really gotten us going. Most teams kind of play through and trigger spot with their 5-man and let them kind of facilitate, and they'll do the same with Nurk some. Well, we want him to use his gifts there. We want him to pressure right there, and then we obviously want him rolling and sprinting to the basket, which he's starting to do a little bit more of. I want him to be more consistent.
Oh, hey, just awkward silence. Sorry. No, look, Chauncey sounds like Monty before him, and the myriad of coaches that have had DeAndre Ayton. They're trying to figure out where he fits, how he works in a system, and that's the conundrum, right? The guy's got all the talent in the world that's never been questioned. It's how do you get that out of him? How do you get him in the right position to actually succeed? And at some point, that's as much on the player as it is on the coach. Mm-hmm. And the coach can only do so much. And I think the fact that they drafted a center early tells you everything you need to know about what they're thinking about.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but were there not rumors this past offseason that Portland wanted to move on from DA, but there was no bites far as people wanting to take him onto their squad?
Sound familiar? I mean, that's the reality of it. So
yeah.
I'll say, first of all, shout out to Chauncey Billups, recently inducted basketball Hall of Famer. That's no small feat in any capacity. I feel like it's a honor to say that about somebody that's coming into the Suns hemisphere even for just one day. That being said, though, Chauncey's known as one of the best floor generals of all time, one of the better leaders of all time, has the resume to back that up. If he's having trouble reaching Ayton after having him for a season and a couple of games, that's not a green flag at all. And honestly, you might have to find another color than red with that. Ayton has to figure it out. And he has to figure it out now because you run out of stops. You've seen what he can do when he's in the right system for him, but there's only so many, and there's no winning system that he's going to be like a top 2 or top 3 player in at this point.
And I love the revisionist history, right? That he didn't get a fair shake here. I mean, I get it. There were a group of people that the second Luka showed more promise, they had turned, but a lot of people gave DA the fair shot. It was like season 5 where it was like, all right, enough, we're good. So that's a false narrative that drives me nuts about it. I think he's gotten fair chances. He got a fair shot last year in Portland. An icy driveway stopped him as well as defense, but hopefully he can figure out something this year.
And here's the thing to remember. I know people will say, like that dude in the chat, they both have flaws, but I'd still take DA's flaws over Nurk's. You have to think about what was going on behind the scenes too, right? And you have to take this for what it is, okay? Understand what I'm trying to tell you here. If the questions are always asked when a trade is made, how does this person and this person on the team feel about bringing this guy into the team? You don't think the reverse is also asked? How does this person and this person on the team feel about sending this one out? The stamp of approval is probably there. That's all I'm going to say with that one, okay?
Honest.
There were other issues besides on-court stuff.
He wore out his welcome at some point.
Okay, but anyway, I came up with a really fun game for you guys
all
today.
Right, let's go.
Maybe it's fun, maybe it's not. But I went back and I pulled some tweets. You just have to tell me, is it about DeAndre Ayton or is it about Jusuf Nurkic?
Here we go.
So we blanked out the name in the tweet. So you guys got to figure this out. Okay, the first one here we've got for you guys is, there was an original tweet said, and lose sleep over losing a plus 2,800 10-legger by 1 rebound, LOL. somebody quote tweeted and said, "This screams insert name here." Laughing emoji.
DeAndre Ayton.
Is that what you're going with?
That's Ayton.
You guys are both going with DeAndre Ayton?
Yep.
You're
Correct.
right. That one was about DeAndre Ayton. Okay, you guys got one. Next up, what do we got? This this one just says, blank stinks these days.
Both of them. No, I'm gonna go Nurk on this one.
What are you rolling with, Steven?
The answer should be yes, because I can see both of them doing that. But just to contrast, I'm gonna go with Nurk on this one.
You're right. That one is about Yusuf Nurkic. Good job. You guys are 2 for 2 so far. Maybe I should have made this harder. All right. Next up is blank will forever have a hater in me.
DeAndre Ayton.
Steven.
That's Nurk.
That is DeAndre Ayton.
Ah, wow.
DeAndre
I
Ayton
wonder who
forever
he's
has
talking
a
about.
hater in this person.
I want to know who he's talking about.
All right, next up. Get blank off my team.
This is Yusuf
with like
Nurk.
a million exclamation points.
This is Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah, I think that's Nurk.
This one's Nurk, unfortunately. Yes, that's Nurk. All right, next up we got, I don't know who they think blank is, LOL. If he's on the Suns, he's not enough, but you want this much for him in a trade? LMAO.
Okay, this is Nurk because I think I've tweeted something exactly like this. Had everybody telling you, we're going to get all-star center X for Yusuf Nurkic, even though I think he's the worst center in the league.
That's definitely Nurk.
That is DeAndre Ayton.
Whoa!
I don't know who they think DeAndre Ayton is, LOL. If he's on the Suns, he's not enough, but if you want this much for him in a trade, LMAO. But this is something that we do a lot. I don't think it's exclusive to Suns fans. I think just any fan base always wants more, but they're ready and willing to accept any trade. But then they're like, get this guy off my team, but we want all that in a bag of chips for them in return.
Hey, Yusuf Nurkic, a 2026 pick swap, and a DeLorean back to us, along with Hakeem Olajuwon. Who says no, right? Prime Hakeem.
No one says no.
Everybody
to that.
wants.
All right,
that,
next up. We've got please trade blank. Phoenix Suns can do better.
The answer is yes. Again.
I'm going to go DA. I think it's DA.
I'm going Nurk.
This one is DA.
Wow.
DeAndre Ayton. Yep. All right. Next up, we've got blank being mid, all caps. Who could have seen this coming?
That's Nurk.
I'm going to go DA.
That is DeAndre Ayton.
Oh,
that
wow.
came from a Blazers fan.
Oh,
Actually, I
wow.
think it was a Suns fan
Okay.
to a Blazers fan.
Okay.
Their tweet once he was on their squad. All right, next up, we've got blank is cooked.
Nurk.
Ayton.
Nurk.
Oh my
That one was
God. Now
about
I'm negative.
Nurk.
I'm behind now.
I'm a
4 and
Twitter
5.
whisperer, all right?
Espo knows all the
These
tweets.
are some of Espo's tweets, actually.
Honestly,
they're all
I
mine.
almost pulled one from you, Espo. I did. I thought about
That
it.
man got like one wrong so far.
All right, I think we have, that's it. So you guys did, honestly, I'm not mad. You pretty good collectively, but it also goes to show that you could really insert any name there from those two guys, and the sentiment is very similar.
I'm pretty sure if there were
Surprisingly or not surprisingly enough.
if there were Twitter all the way back in 1968, there would have been complaints about Jim Fox and all the centers on that roster. In the 80s, Alvin Adams would have taken shrapnel. The 90s would have been Oliver Miller and Hot Rod Williams and Luke Longley. Like, this could have been a generational Suns thing, all right?
I mean, 100%. All right, let's get back into information for tonight's game. Espo, what are the guys wearing in this matchup?
Hate. Pure hate in their hearts, I think is what it is. I don't remember, so I'm going to wait for the graphic. There it is. It's the purple jerseys. That's right. Versus the classic Blazers white jerseys. I actually really like this Blazers uniform. I usually crap on the whatever white uniforms being worn, but the Blazers have some really classic uniforms that they haven't strayed too far from over the years.
100%. Okay, who you guys got tonight and by how much?
Well, I'm going to keep the streak alive because it's taken it's needed to be this to let
In
this
order to
run
get
go.
the W's
I've worn the
continuously.
outfit. I've got the Blazers by 1 tonight that I went with. I feel like that just keeps the whole thing going here.
I have the Blazers. I have the Blazers. Excuse me. I have the Suns by 12.
I was
If you
about
had
to
Blazers
say,
by
No.
12, I'll
excuse
get
me.
No. I got the Suns by 12. I feel like they figured things out. They start taking more strides in the right direction and put together a comprehensive game in this one.
Okay, I am with you. I got the Suns by 8. Eric has the Suns by 9. I just really hope they take care of business early and we get to see the youngins out there in the fourth quarter to close this one out.
I hate that this was part of my streak, that I
I
have to
know,
pick
right?
the
That you have
opposing
to do
team,
that.
but it's
Well,
worked.
That's
so,
what happens, Espo. All right. What do our friends at Bet365 think about tonight's game, though? That's the big question.
I
here.
mean, yeah, I think that is the big question, and I think they're in cahoots with you guys when you look at the line tonight. That they really know that that this is going to be the Suns' game, as they have the Suns. As I look it up here, and I don't have it.
I think it was minus.
I think it was
about 12 and a
12
half.
and a half.
Earlier.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's up to 13 now as it moved, and the Suns are minus 900 on the money line. So there you go with that.
All right. It is now time for our pregame picks. Well, we're putting our money on this one. Presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use that code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. All right. You want to toss one up there and we'll see who we're rolling with first today? Espo, tell us what you got.
Look, it worked last time. So Devin Booker, 50-plus points at a plus 4,000. Let's do this.
Listen, I am a little bit disappointed that you won on Thursday. Happy for Book, sad for you. This one might be a little bit of a stretch, though. I'm just gonna
Might
say.
not be.
It might not be, but I feel like it is.
I had 2, and I let my daughter pick which one I was going to go with. And Nurk first basket was my other one. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Steven, what are you rolling with tonight?
Well, I had a nice little line again. I got Tyus Jones for over 7.5 assists. Partly largely because the Blazers run a whole lot of zone defense. It's gonna be a lot of passing, a lot of movement of the ball. I think the Suns are gonna get up a lot of threes against that. So I see him hitting that and really knocking that out the park. And in alignment there, I also have Kevin Durant for over 25 points in this one as well. I also think there's some revenge in the air.
Totally.
And DeAndre Ayton for the matchup with the Suns, but also the matchup with Nurkic, is gonna find a way to put some points on the board in this one. So I think those things are all gonna happen. I think they might happen a little bit more loudly than I, bet on for this one. But let's see about it.
I mean, there's always a little bit of revenge there, I feel like. It's
You're
inevitable.
not getting the Ayton one.
Which one?
You're not getting the Ayton 20-plus.
You don't think so?
No, I think he's going to press. I think he's going to press. He's going to try to do the things, and we've seen when DeAndre Ayton tries to do too much, DeAndre Ayton doesn't do enough. So.
This is true.
All right, well, Eric is rolling with a 2-leg parlay. Devin Booker over 30 points and DA over 20 points for a plus 1,000. I think all of you guys are going to miss out on this one because I don't anticipate you needing 25 from KD or 30 from
every
Book.
game, though. That's not
No, it's a
specific to
totally
this
different one. No, this one makes more sense. The other games is me just hoping you guys lose. But, I don't think you need 30 from Book. You shouldn't need, anyway, 30 from Book and 25 from KD in order to win this game.
You don't need it, but you're going to get 50.
Maybe. I don't know.
Devin's going to get 50 in 3/4. That's how good he's going to be tonight.
Let's hope so.
You're going to be letting that thing fly, that's for sure.
I went with a super random one that I just stumbled upon, and I was like, that sounds fun. It's Phoenix to win the first quarter by either 7 or 8 points exactly at a plus 700.
You know what I hate about this, though, is if they're up 12, you have to root against them
I know, it's
in the
true.
final minute of the quarter.
You can get the by 11 or more for plus 280 as well. I almost went with that one, but I was like, I don't know, plus 700 sounds fun. Why not? You know what I mean?
Too bad they don't do the early payout if they get up 7 or 8 at any point.
That would be awesome if they did. Unfortunately, I don't think they do that. All right, guys, those are our picks for tonight's game. Just a reminder, if you want to get in on the action, use that code PHNX365 when you sign up on the Bet365 app. Disclaimer, you must be 21 or older and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for the pregame show. We will be back here with a postgame show after it wraps up, so plan to come hang out with us then. Okay, bye.
Moon landing, fake or real?
Ooh.
We all city like the mayor.